But then you have a Carlos Queiroz, which, no disrespect to any other coach, but that's a different level. You've got a, you've got a, uh, you've nearly got a football philosopher there, someone that will, a football artist. And I watched him a number of times looking at the tactics board and just looking at it like an artist looks at a painting and then might make a stroke with a paintbrush and then adjust it and then sit back. And Carlos Queiroz is beyond a football coach. He's a wonderful man, and he knows the game intellectually so well. Remembering that he started the football coaching degree at the University of Lisbon, which all the famous Portuguese coaches were his students. I mean, this is a man that coached Portugal, the under 20s, to World Cup success, and then coached the Portuguese national team. He was a coach educator, so it was someone that knows the game intellectually, and then has the ability to lead. For me, and no disrespect to who takes over Iran in the future, Carlos Queiroz is irreplaceable as the national coach of Iran at that level. Look, there might be great coaches, and maybe that's a big statement, but I'm not sure if everyone there maybe realized what sort of person that they had in control. And this comes from someone that only spent a couple of months there. But I could see, and I've had a lot of experience around the world working with multiple coaches, and Carlos Queiroz will always be a standout for me. Carlos is just a leader of men. Those players would do anything for him. They were tactically well versed. They understood. And he was there leading every session. That's the thing that you don't often see with some coaches. Are they on the pitch all the time? Carlos Queiroz is on the pitch all the time. And you know what? One thing that stands out to me, that I see this multiple times, and this is the intelligent. He's highly intelligent too. The session post game in a tournament it's not a fun session, because you've got all the players that have played, they're in recovery. Okay, so they're doing recovery, they've had the game and that sort of stuff. You've got the other players that have suited up and have been ready and have not played. And so they need to go out and do a training session, which is obviously going to be quite tough because it has to make up some of the training load that has to replace what the game was. Most coaches don't do that session. Most head coaches don't do that session. Do you know what? That's the session that Carlos was most active in, because he was saying to those men, he would be there. We were all there because he'd be there saying, you mean a lot to me, so much to me that I'm going to be here running this session. That's one thing that stands out, with a Carlos Queiroz, because he knows, who do you need in the tournament? If someone breaks down, you're going to need those men. And those men are not happy, are they? Because they're not playing. They think they should be playing. They want to play. You've got to have hungry players in those positions. And so he's there leading them the day after a game. When I've seen, that's not always the case with a lot of being Iranian and the Iranian national team. It's different. And there's different securities that go around working with the Iranian national team. There's different cultural issues that go around, when you work with the Iranian national team. So, for instance, we had a game. I can't remember which one it was, but I think the kickoff was 3 o'clock or 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock. It was a different time, and it was normally the time when the players are used to napping and having a nap and having a sleep in the afternoon. And I, as a performance team, we discussed this and said, well, we need to change this dynamic, because you want to adjust the sleeping patterns a couple of days out from the game, because you don't want to be kicking off at 3 o'clock when you're normally sleeping at that time. So you need to adjust the circadian rhythm or the body clock, as we call it, for the players to be ready. So I said this to Carlos, and it's not easy with the Iranian national team that you can't just go out and organize something really quick because of the different security measures. So we came up with the concept that basically we just needed them awake to be alive. It didn't need to necessarily be playing football or anything like that, but we wanted them awake and be doing something. So we came up with this concept of we'd have a trivia competition and a table tennis competition. And just so that there was awake, it was lively at the game time. And then this was before, like, you have game day -1 where you're actually going to train and all that sort of stuff. So normally when you put something on like that, it would be the performance guys that run that. Okay, so, and you wouldn't even see the head coach. You wouldn't even maybe see the assistant coach. But no, who do you think is running the trivia? Who do you think is running the table tennis? It's Carlos Queiroz.
Of course.
In the center of it. And this is a coach with that pedigree. And he's in his 60s with an extensive experience. But this is the difference that every young coach could learn from. And I often shake my head and see other young coaches not putting in that and not seeing that. And do you think the players don't notice that? The players notice this man doing this. So then what does that turn out to? They're going to play for a player. They're going to play for a coach that has their back and is always there for them. So that's the difference of a Carlos Queiroz.